trophies are. See what The 1992 Illinois State Deadlift Championships were held in Charleston, Illinois, in a little pavilion at a local park. And this was promoted by Dr. Darrell Latch of the Sunlight Power Organization. And he had a gym down in Charleston. I had my gym. It was less than a year old. And Greg Gordon had a gym in Sunnyland, Illinois. And he'd started before I did, so he'd been there some time. And we and a bunch of other gyms got together down in Charleston that day, and we had a really great meet. There were some real battles that day. You don't usually see battles like that anymore, but there were some divisions that were really close. For instance, I always say that I'm lifting now what the 220s used to lift, 580, but that day 580 was fourth place. And that was lifted by my best lifter, Jim Herman, at 220. And Dean Marlowe, he took third place with 585. John Beatty was second at 600. And Greg Gordon was 640 pounds. Now, he took best lifter and first place. And I even hate to say it on camera, but I lifted 181. Took third place with 500 pounds. And Mark Craig, he took second at 520, and Roger Sanders won with 525. I mean, I triple that now, but that was a long time ago. And one of the other divisions that was really competitive was the two-person deadlift, and Jim Herman and I pulled 1,100 pounds. That's the most we ever pulled. And there was another team that pulled the same weight, but they actually beat us because they weighed less than we did. It was Allen and Belt. Dennis Belt weighed 148 and pulled a 520 single. So that tells you how they won that day. This was the first time that Greg and Buffy Gordon had pulled 1,000 pounds in the man and woman deadlift. Now I'm going to flash their picture up here in a minute, and it's a 900-pound deadlift, so it's probably their second attempt. I don't have a photograph of the 1,000-pound deadlift, and then I'll flash the results up here for everybody. But one of the other divisions that was interesting was the women's division. Buffy had taken first place with 320 pounds, but in second place with a lift of 215 pounds was an 11-year-old girl, Candace DeLine. Isn't that amazing? 11 years old that could lift 215 pounds. She was considered as it says here, a sensation. 11-year-old sensation, Candace DeLine. So she'd been competing and winning at that time. This is me and Jim Herman with our 1,100-pound deadlift, our third attempt. This is Greg and Buffy Gordon with their 900-pound, I would say, second attempt. These are the results of the meet published in Powerlifting USA magazine. Notice that Dr. Darrell Latch lifted in the Masters 40 to 49 age group and the 242-pound open division. He won with a lift of 540 pounds. Now, I know his personal record had been 560, so he lifted fairly well that day. I found it really interesting to read over the narrative of this meet that was in Powerlifting USA magazine, and I did want to mention, Greg Gordon, he pulled a 640 for his best lifter in first place at 220, but it goes on to say here that he tried a 665, and I guess he almost got it, and it was close, but it says here that he had tried this, just having switched back to conventional from sumo. So that's hard to do. But I did want to mention that. I thought that was very interesting. I'll continue to post the results of some of these old meets because it is fun to look back and see how tight the competition once was. So stay tuned, and we'll have a lot more of these. Okay.